Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Jellyhead podcast. I am Andy, not like you care, and this is Graham. We're here with Graham. I want to say your name, Sir Graham Ian Ginsberg.
Just Graham Ian Ginsberg's perfect.
But I want to knight you, like Sir Graham, Sir Ginsberg. How you doing, man?
Good. I just don't miss driving through LA.
I bet.
I'm from the Valley, but always driving through. I used to go to this place off of the 60, off Admiral, some space. There's a bunch of big warehouse spaces there, and Roland's headquarters are based out there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I'd get off the 60 and make a left off the freeway, but every time it was like a 2.5 hour drive from Ventura County. So I'd get sad.
Yeah, and you're back out in Ventura County right now?
Right now, I'm just staying at my folks' place for the weekend, and then I have a show tonight in Ventura.
Oh, shit. So you're going to drive all the way out there tonight after this?
Wow. Well, where my parents live, it's up the 101 north, right before that grade that heads to Oxnard.
Oh, okay.
There's like a truck stop right there, and then it just goes down. Then you're in the farmland, you know.
Nice.
But my parents live at the off-ramp that's right before the grade.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I was just in Ventura on Thursday because I want to go see Mazzy Star at the Majestic.
Yeah, that was blowing up my feeds.
Yeah.
Jealous, because then because you see the Morrissey sign right next to it, right?
Dude, he played the night before, and I was like, "Yo, childhood me is so pissed off that I didn't make this a double night." Like,
I'm surprised he didn't cancel last minute,
right?
Because that's a treat for those people that actually paid to go to that show and actually went.
Yeah, he actually stayed. Everyone gives Morrissey shit, and it's completely understandable. I'll forever be in love with him.
Me too.
Just have to be.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
It's my college, early adult, up until my late 30s, which I am now. So it's like, I love the Moz.
Nice. See, I've been listening since I was a munchkin.
Yeah.
Because I had uncles and aunts that were into them, Mexican, so it has to be.
Yeah, I'm half, so it's like,
there you go.
I get it, man.
It's a rite of passage. Like, you must.
Yeah.
You kind of have to.
I remember I dated a girl I was 19 or 20. It was right after 9/11. Mm-hmm. I met this girl in Simi Valley, California, and she's from Argentina. And she played me the Smiths, and I was like, I've heard this music before, but I was it was like 1988 VH1, listening to the Smiths, and I was like, oh, this sounds familiar, and I became obsessed ever since then.
It has to be.
Then became emotional as fuck in college.
Oh, yeah. You're like, from this point on, I'm just going to be sad. But I'm going to love being sad.
It fuels the creative process at times.
Yeah. When it's not destroying it. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
So a little bit, let's get into a little bit about you to let the folks know who you are and what you're about.
Basically music is my life, and working with local musicians and artists has always been a big part of that. And to kind of preface the whole doing the DIY show thing, I went to college for film. I was a film major, and I just had a complete change of heart when I was in my undergrad years. And I was in Studio City on Ventura Boulevard, and I saw this little pamphlet on the floor right where the old Dupar's was. And it was like a little pamphlet for the LA Recording School. And this was like in 2006.
All right on.
And I didn't know that I didn't really know that schools like that existed, that were just a proprietary thing, where it was just, you just go to a trade school to learn audio engineering. I always thought you had to either intern at a studio or mop up toilets and shit for 3 years before getting a paid gig.
You had to Trent Reznor that shit first.
Yeah.
By the studio time.
So after I graduated from college, I immediately went into that. I was still working full time. I worked at Trader Joe's for about 12 years.
Nice.
In kind of like minor management. I wasn't like a full-time manager, but I trained new people, and I had my own, like I ran the beer and wine section at Trader Joe's at the store I was at.
Can I ask you something about Trader Joe's real quick?
Yeah.
Okay. 12 years you were there. All right. Is it a requirement that you have to be super nice and talkative at the cash register?
No, a lot of people aren't.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so the one that I go to that's by my house, because I shop at Trader Joe's. I love Trader Joe's. So like I go over there, and it's like, it's that place and then this other place in Burbank. The one in Burbank is the same way, to where it's like everyone is super talkative. Hey, how was your day? Like, let's talk. Let's chit chat while we're checking you out. And I have social anxiety. So I'm like, I before I get into the line, I'm purposely looking like, which one of you is having a terrible day? Because I know you don't want to talk.
Yeah.
Like, you're the one. That guy looks sad as fuck. He's my guy. He's going to check me out and we will not say anything.
So you just scope the area out?
Yeah.
Just like, ding, 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 ding. Here you go. Have a nice day.
Because everyone who works at Trader Joe's is super happy to work at Trader Joe's.
I mean, I think that was probably the unhappiest of the last couple of years, because I quit the year I started working at Echo Park Rising. It was like 2013. I started working for that company, High School Nation, the same year as well. But the 2012 and 2013 were my last 2 years working there, and it was probably, I would get anxiety working on the register.
Yeah.
I have to go into the bathroom because I would get all clammy and sweaty. I was just miserable.
Fuck.
I mean, I couldn't make any more money at that job because there's like a cap.
Yeah.
After you work so many years, there's like a cap. And then, with every 6 months or something like that, the state gives you like, 25-cent cap, raise.
Yeah.
I just wasn't happy.
I feel you.
Because I was doing my shows full time, recording bands and stuff like that, but also working 40 plus hours a week in the beer and wine section. So I was just getting pulled from every single direction, and the only thing that really brought me joy was like a good show.
Nice.
That kept me going. I would, like we had 30-minute lunch breaks. I would fall asleep into 45 minutes, and the manager was like, "Hey, dude, you're supposed to be on register right now." Because I'd get home from a show at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes we would do shows in downtown LA at these warehouse spaces. I'd get home at 3, and I'd have to be at work by 7.
Fuck.
Yeah, I'd get up at 6. I just wasn't there,
Yeah.
So at that point, I have to make a decision. Do I take the risk and either eat peanut butter jelly sandwiches for 6 months and follow what drives
Dream.
me?
Yeah.
And that's how I met Julian and Wax Children, and Julian from Levitation Room, the Mystic Braves, and like a lot of the people in the Echo Park scene. I would do shows out there, and they'd come at that's the only reason those bands would come from Echo Park to Thousand Oaks.
Yeah.
Because of the shows that we all put together and stuff like that. So I mean, we can get back into that, how that started. But as far as Trader Joe's is concerned, I walk. There's one in San Luis Obispo, down the street from Ernie Ball, and I walk there on my lunch break. The complete opposite of what you would explain as
really?
The complete customer service friendly.
They're just dicks.
Well, I think I even made a post online about that. It's like, these people have no social skills. I mean, we're in the social media age, and no one's like engaging. And I was like, oh, I'm offended. I'm like fucking pissed, like.
Yeah.
And then I just let
like,
it
at least
slide.
Say hi.
Well, yeah. I mean, engagement, acknowledging that someone exists is cool.
Yeah.
But also, like, are you okay? You want to talk?
You hate your life, clearly.
Well, I mean, a lot of those, because San Luis Obispo is also it's a big college town. And there's a lot of young kids. So I would assume they're all bubbly and just like, oh my God, filled with life and zest and all that stuff. And it's like, the life just gets fucking sucked out of the room, and it's just like, I just want to get my stuff and go home.
Nice.
But
but those are the kids that their parents couldn't foot the bill for college. They're out there and they're just like, fuck. Like everyone's partying right now. Someone's in a fucking frat.
Oh, that is no excuse, man. Like, I went to school in San Diego. I went to UC San Diego, and I worked at a radio station on campus there for 3 years, KTSD, and it was a local campus radio. So I had a show from 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. and I'd have friends spin vinyl, have some acoustic performances, but I'd play like whatever I wanted. Nice. Essentially, it's like a variety show. But I'd work at 8 o'clock in the morning, get completely shit faced, go to work, and kind of repeat that process for like 3-4 years.
Jesus Christ.
While I was there. And then I worked at a film production place in Marina Del Rey off Lincoln and Admiralty Way. There's like the little overlooking the marina. The guy was an asshole. I mean, I would do location scouting and management for music videos in LA. So I'd go to all these different places and meet up with the management teams and, okay, we want to do this. This is what we're planning to shoot. And I'd take the train back to San Diego and do that. And then I'd still work, and I'd just bouncing all over the place, No.
Imagine,
you could still be bubbly, but be dead inside.
Yeah.
And then project that happiness out,
It's just how good you are at wearing the mask.
It was a good mask
Yeah.
for a long time, and then I just fucking snapped in like 2013.
Jesus. Could you imagine?
You can
doing
only
that
do it
now?
for so long.
Could you imagine doing that now at your age right now? It's like
No way.
being in your 30s. Like, no, fuck no, dude. You have to be like, early 20s, late teens. Like, you have all the energy in the fucking world.
I mean, I barely get enough sleep now, and
Serious.
I'm like, no, there's no way. I mean, tonight, Ventura is a big party town, but it's also a vibrant music scene. Like, you guys played a show there.
Yeah. It was beautiful. I loved it.
And, that's one of my big regrets of, was it 2017?
Yeah, it was last year. It was actually October of last year.
It was you guys, Alec Finn?
Alec Finn and Sleeper Cup.
Oh, that's right. Fuck, man. God. And then the whole world gets smaller.
Yeah. Right?
Dude, that's why I love what I do, is because like I love working with people that are awesome. And then you connect the dots from that, Echo Park Rising was one of the best things that I've done for that reason, because I met so many cool people, guys like you, and so many good bands, shucks. But 2014 when I did Echo Park Rising, oh god, it was that was a really interesting Echo Park Rising, because I was working all night. I worked like a 13-hour day. I set up for Eileen, right? I got there early in the morning.
Oh, right, lot one.
Set up, yeah. So I was setting up at lot one, and then, Jason's like, hey, man, have a couple beers. And I was like, oh, my God, because I was supposed to record all the bands that year.
Oh, shit.
On all 3 days, like, okay, from beginning to end, we're going to record. I brought my drive, my Pro Tools rig, the PreSonus Studio Live that I had, 16 in straight into Pro Tools. I was like, oh no, I forgot my power supply and I couldn't find anything.
Shit.
So it was like 5 a.m. I'm like, all right, I'm good. And I got pinched. And then spent the night in jail. And my dad and my roommate Zach at the time picked me up. This was in Valley. And I went straight into my truck. I wore the same shirt and shorts that I wore the night before. It was Atlanta, Georgia peach t-shirt with like hot orange and blue and green, like floral 80s design. And Eileen looks at me, he's like, did you? Oh no. And I'm like, yeah. I worked the rest of the weekend just like, what the fuck? But to be honest, that was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Put things in perspective a little.
Yeah. Oh yeah. When you think you're careful and just you can never really take too much into account the safety of others and yourself, and just giving a shit and saying no.
It's a legit thing. It's a fucking scary thing, fucking doing that. And you don't think about it, because it's like, because you're not thinking about anybody else. You're thinking about, I'm having a good time. I'm also working. I'm doing all these fucking things. And it's like, I just got to get home. All I got to do is get home.
Yeah.
And
well, my focus that night was singular. Like, I got to get that power supply so I can record from 11 a.m. from the first fucking acoustic band that starts the day on Echo Park Rising to end of the night.
Yeah.
That was my singular focus. I'm like, man. But, if it wasn't for that, it put a lot of things in perspective. Like, I thought about all the money that I spent on recouping, the fees and all that stuff.
The insurance.
Dude, that's an 1176 compressor I could have spent. What is wrong with you? Like, get your head out of your ass, because I don't typically do that. And it was just one of those really bad moments. But that weekend was an awesome weekend. Some fucking awesome bands played. I met some really cool people. And then from then on, and I'm really sad I couldn't really do 2018. 2016 and 2017 were by far my favorite years at Echo Park Rising.
Right. And we met you at what, 2016?
2016. at fucking 8 a.m.
Right?
It was so early.
I was like, why the fuck?
It's like, why did
why does
Eileen
anyone
book you
like
guys?
us?
You guys are a 10 p.m., 11 p.m. closeout slot.
I appreciate that.
Because it's just like,
I wish other people thought that way.
It's like you gotta gel and like grease the night and just slap coconut oil on it and then just let it go for the rest of the day and just let the momentum build.
Yeah. See, for us, it's always been hard to kind of like get the good slots just because I think we're fairly new. I mean, we're not new. I mean, we've been around for like 5 years, but like we didn't start playing shows for a while, you know, and it was like, and we didn't know anybody. And then also going into Echo Park, like at first it was like, we were already like reaching our 30s at the time.
So was that your first, like, kind of foray into the Echo Park music scene, or was it sort of...
Was that the first? I think we played Lot 1 a couple times, for sure. But that was it, you know? And it was that year we were like, oh, we got Lot 1 again. We played Lot 1 a lot, for sure. But then it was like, oh, and then we got Lost Night. Cool, we never played Lost Night. And then it was just like never anything else. And we played Lost Night a couple times. And
how is that place? I've never been inside.
I think it's not a thing anymore. I think Eileen just posted something recently where I think they closed down last night. I don't know if it's true or if I just read the post wrong, but the sign, no, they were taking the sign down.
Yeah.
And like we were actually talking about Wax Children a little while ago that we think that it might be over because I know it was Berrigan's before it was last night, and then I don't know what the hell's going on now, but it's chill. It's a cool environment.
I've heard horror stories.
The sound,
like really bad.
The sound has always been a problem.
I don't understand why venues, even small venues, don't take into account, like, you can't just put up a fucking SM58 and a little baby Mackie board with a tiny set of speakers and think that's going to be okay. Like, invest in a decent PA so bands can actually do their thing.
It's always been a pain, dude.
You know, which is why Eileen asked, you know, for 4 years, she asked me to like, oh, can you bring your stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bands deserve that. They deserve to, like, at least, you want to hear the kick drum, you want to hear bass, but you don't want to hear it just completely cranked in a little box. You want to hear it controlled a little bit. You can do it in a place like that, any small space. You just need someone to wrangle it.
Yeah.
You know. But
and then a lot of people they don't really bother into like who it is they're hiring as well. Mm-hmm. You know, certain places and where it's just like, you know, because there are some places where it's like, oh, this is a cool spot, but it's like we give a guy our tech writer and he has no idea what he's looking at. You know, that happens to us more often than not, and it's like, come on, dude, like this is your thing, like, you know, like with you, like I think you were actually probably the first person who did our sound that was like, yeah, cool, got it. We were like, he understands us.
Well, I mean,
gets it.
You have to have DI boxes. You have to have more than 12 channels. Yeah. You know, it's like important. Even a small venue should have like a minimum of at least 12 to 16 channel console with 3 band EQ and maybe even some compression in there. But like, you can't just. That makes you look as a venue very bad.
Yeah.
But people don't care because they just want to. They're only thinking of the bottom line. But
let's talk about something here. I want to talk about. So you are all over the place. Like whenever I see, like if I see your updates on Facebook, you're everywhere. You're always everywhere.
Yeah.
You fucking. It's like you know everybody. You've been doing shows for fucking ever, and it's awesome. Like. You're everywhere, and like you seem like always such a positive person. Also,
it's lies, dude.
Well, I'm sure it's because it's social media. like I was like, oh yeah,
I'm always posting the selfies like this, you know,
right?
Yeah,
like this, and then you're like,
God, I'm gonna eat another donut.
Exactly.
Shit myself.
But where does the passion come from? So you said that you were going to school as a film major. And so you saw the LA Recording School, and is that where you went?
Yeah, I went to. I mean, that was I mean, I'm glad I went. I met some really cool people. Like every story I'm gonna kind of end with is gonna be I met some really cool people and made some solid human, connection.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's all about. But as far as the classes are concerned, I mean, a lot of the people that actually were the educators, those guys were working in facilities. They were working at Sunset Sound or, Evergreen, which is in Burbank, which is a huge studio. My best friend / old business partner, Rick, he's in a band called Corners from Echo Park. He's a good engineer. I worked at the Barn studio for a long time, for about 5 years. And so I made those connections through him with other studios. But those guys, they all worked at the studio, so they canceled. Oh, I got a session tonight, so we're going to cancel this class. We're going to cancel this class. We're going to cancel this class.
Jesus. And you're like, dude, I'm paying for an education.
Well, I did the math. It's 300. I think when I was extremely frustrated with all the cancellations, the tape calibration, all the analog stuff, working on an Eve console. It's like $350 a day for a year-long program.
Fuck.
And that included weekends. So, I think Sundays were the only day that the school was not in session. But it didn't matter. I'm not going to talk bad about LA Recording, but just a lot of the classes, at least in 2006 and 2007, were canceled.
Yeah.
And it's but they weren't made, a lot of them weren't made up, And so through that, I met this producer named Jared. He'll probably see this at some point, but he's still a good friend of mine.
Hi, Jared.
Yeah, Jared Goslin. He's a really good producer out of Burbank. Really cool dude. Really good engineer. I'm okay on Pro Tools, but this guy's like a fucking wizard. So just watching him work, done.
Nice.
15-song, album just done in I'm being hyperbolic.
Hyperbolic, yeah.
But just he was really fast. I'm like, God, I want to get that fast. How do you? We didn't learn shit in school. Everything was just okay, let's read from a book. Mm-hmm. But the practical application of it wasn't, those classes were the ones that were canceled, right? So he took me under his wing, and I got to be a fly on the wall for 2 years. Learned a lot. Recorded it. I was an assistant engineer at Frank Zappa's studio off Mulholland.
Nice.
So I got to assist. I work with Macy Gray, Bobby Brown, Ahmet and Dweezil Zappa and stuff like that. And so I got to assist on some cool stuff in end of 2009 to 2011. I was doing some cool stuff out of there. And, and then leading into that, after 2011, there was this festival called Open Borders. It was all music. They took that Borders bookstore. Are you familiar with the Borders bookstore? So they had this, it was a bowling alley first in the 70s and 80s, converted it to a Borders bookstore. That closed down. And Larry Jantz, who owns pretty much most of Thousand Oaks, there's an exit named after his family, nice. Jantz Road.
Okay.
He is a super talented artist. He was that landscape photographer, Ansel Adams, those the Grand Tetons and stuff. In the 60s, he was his understudy. So sure. Larry Jantz was a super into photography and music, and he knew all the guys, all the beatnik poets from the 60s. And he went all over the country with those guys, and super out there dude. And we all hung out together for this festival called Open Borders. And so they gutted the Borders bookstore, and I became part of the production team. We were laying out audio cable, video, and doing camera setups all over the venue because we were going to do a 3-month-long all summer from June to August, a music festival dedicated to just local music, local art. They got, the first night was Ray Manzarek before he passed away from the Doors, opened the night, and Gardens and Villa and my friends Captions. That's how I met Captions.
Nice.
And thus began, a light bulb went off in my brain. At that time, I had more of that. And so it's I really want to do more shows. But I want to do more, I want to do sound. But my two friends, Adam and Mike, are beautiful, talented visual artists. So they had the whole thing. There was this group called the Single Wing Turquoise Bird. And they were big in the 60s. They did projections for Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, So my friend Mike Fow, who he lives in Spain now,
Yeah.
we would do these shows together where we got a bunch of bands. I would book the bands and do sound, and he and Adam would do the visuals for the show. Whether it was oil projection, DVD, like multimedia art, they would have this crazy setup, man, and they would take what they learned from these old school guys in their 60s and 70s and stuff and apply it to these shows, and people loved it. Nice. And March 2012 was my first show, and there was like 300, 400 people there.
That's beautiful.
It was awesome. And then, Thousand Oaks, nothing happens there,
Yeah.
So that's whenever there's a need for something, eventually someone comes along and says, we want to fulfill this need, and we want to build a community around this. And so we did, and for up until 2016, there was a steady rise of just like events, and that's where I got my Chronology Presents moniker. Was just, we'd have Chronology Presents, and then this band, and we do shows all over LA. We do shows in Santa Barbara, Ventura, Thousand Oaks. I wanted to work with a lot of good bands. That's how I met Julian.
Nice.
I just,
Who was he? Oh, because he was with Wax Children.
He was with Wax Children at the time, and I met Rick through. I did a Lollipop Records fundraiser show in Thousand Oaks. And he and Tracy of Corners went in there. I didn't know them at the time, and I was doing sound, and Mike and Adam were doing the visuals, and we had 13 bands in one day.
Jesus.
Bands came from all over to play. We raised a lot of money. Lollipop opened their doors a couple months later. We raised, like $1,000, $1,500 for them to, like, begin that Lollipop shop that was under the bridge by Glendale. So we did that show, and then I met Rick Maybury, who was the drummer in Corners, and then he and I became like brothers immediately.
Nice.
Then he had a studio in Agora Hills, Malibu area called The Barn. It's like an old horse barn back in the 80s, and they converted it to a studio, all analog and stuff like that. So I learned more there than I did
in school,
interning, and all that other stuff, because it was kind of up to us to make that shit happen. And
you had to learn as you worked, learn as you went.
And luckily, that network that was built through that, we got to meet some really cool people, and more importantly, build really good friendships. Like, everything you do, I guess, kind of leads up to you either make a decision to not do something or to just do it and just go full-fledged to 100%. And
yeah,
I'm glad I did. I'm glad that if it wasn't for Open Borders, that festival, that none of that really would have happened, and maybe I wouldn't have had that urge to fulfill that need. Because then once you see something happen in a really grand scale, in a town like the Thousand Oaks, you're like, oh man, nothing like this ever happens around here.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe we should do something. And luckily, I just had a really good network of awesome people that wanted the same thing.
That's cool, man. I mean, it seems like even like with, I guess, just your group of friends, like it seems like kind of your era of what was going on. It was like that's when everything was really fucking taking off. With GoPro and all that stuff. I mean, like someone who's getting into that today is not going to have that
new.
same.
That was all like, oh my god,
brand new.
That was the new stuff.
Yeah, it was like this wave that it written. Right now, it's like everyone's kind of waiting for what the fuck the next thing is, and nobody has any idea. But all that shit was coming out, and now it's just a competition of trying to outdo each other. But there was like revolution at one point, or Where are we now, Graham?
I feel like because I'm not as involved in the LA music scene, I don't know like what's going on, but it just seems like the people that own or do booking at the Echoplex do the booking at the Regent, and then it just seems like a monopoly. And I know Eileen always she lets loose on that, and just like she gets really frustrated because they just try to shit on the little guy still.
Yeah, definitely.
And that sort of fucks up the what could be a really cool burgeoning music scene, and you're just like keeping a limiter on it. It's like nope.
We've talked about this too, though, because like there's a lot of, because yes, when you have stuff like that, Regent, Echoplex, all that stuff, it's like, okay, it is the huge monopoly and like the ticket sale companies and all that stuff. It's like, who are we going to get and what are we going to draw? You know, and then you have your Golden Voices, you have your, you know, other kind of companies like that, and they're doing good shows. You know, they have all this stuff, but like completely like there are thousands, hundreds of thousands of bands in Los Angeles that are not being fucking heard, that deserve to be on these fucking stages, like legit. But it's like, it's really hard at the same time, you know, because even still to some degree, you have this kind of you have the clicks, you know, you have the clicks. Like Lollipop was a click for a huge thing. Lollipop Burger, there were clicks, and it was like, it was impossible to get on any of these shows because you didn't have that sound. You didn't have this, you didn't have that. And it's like, now I feel so out of the loop with what's going on in LA. Cause, I mean, partly because I don't live out that way anymore, but it's like, I just don't know what's going on. I don't know anything that's going on in Echo Park right now.
I feel like that as quickly as it got into, as people were wearing bell bottoms and
yeah, is it over?
You know, bolo ties and shit like that. Like I feel like it left almost just as quickly. I mean, we're talking 2-3 years, but
yeah,
you know.
Because for us, we
things
never
are
thought
cyclical,
it would end.
but yeah,
we were like, you know, when is this going to stop?
I'm Wyatt's a good the guy. Well, I haven't really talked to him about what's going on with Lollipop, but I know he lives in Arizona now, and all he's doing is working on his records. As far as like the label and stuff, I have no idea what's going on, but I know he's just working a lot on his own stuff.
Yeah,
and we always like email back and forth, like, oh man, have you tried this on this? Have you tried the Wolf compressor? Oh man, this shit sounds so good. Or, you know, we just like to geek out on recording stuff.
Oh yeah.
But
they're like listening to you right now, and just like, yeah, I could hear the fapping.
The fapping,
yeah. Like this one, Ray wrote down, like, that compressor, dude. That's fucking.
Dude, the Wolf compressor is awesome. It's like I have the UA, like that DBX 160.
I'm gonna pretend, but yes, I admire your passion for it.
On kick, snare, and then on a stereo bus for drums. You know, you just like
look at him. Look at the smirk on this guy's face.
You can make drums sound fucking awesome.
Nice
with the UA stuff. The UA stuff is really good.
So you were telling me that you're trying to make things happen again because you haven't been doing that stuff. Like you wanted to do shows again. You're telling me you want to do a podcast and all that.
Yeah, I want to do a podcast because up north in San Luis Obispo, there's like so many good bands with same thing. It's like there's no outlet really. Mm-hmm. A lot of good young talented bands. I mean, we're talking like young 18, 19, 20-year-old kids that can just rip. And good, you know, they put out what a lot of people was like, you know, this is good content, this is good music, this is you know, a good message that they're spreading. It's just fun rock and roll. You know, the whole 90s alternative thing is coming back, and these kids are doing it really well.
Yeah.
I have to like double take them, like, these kids look like we dressed back in the day. Like,
exactly. I'm just like
I'm 37, so it's like 1994. I just saw the movie in mid-90s. I'm like, geez.
Nice.
It's good.
I just saw that one. Yeah.
It's good. It's good. I was very much into Mobb Deep when I was in 1994, and then Gravediggers. They had the Gravediggers record, the first, you know,
the
a couple
soundtrack
tracks.
for that.
I was like, dude, I was like, this is
solid.
really good.
Yeah.
I was like, 13-year-old me would have been super stoked.
Like, it's a movie about me.
Like skating, I was really into aggressive inline skating.
Nice.
So, you know, the skates, the rollerblades that have that little like kind of like ceramic loop, so you could actually do rails and grind.
What are they called? There was the Rocies? Rocays? What are they called?
Rocays, I think.
Yeah, Rocays. I had a pair of those. I was like super into it, and I was like, you knew you were cool inline skating because you didn't have the brake. Yeah, no brake. We would do tricks, and there was this big hill where I lived in Moore Park, and went all the way down. There's this huge hill. We'd have a ramp, and then there would be 5 of those blue, you know, trash cans. Yeah.
We'd line them up, and we'd go all the way down and like do, you know, some tricks.
Nice.
I landed the first few, and then the last one's like, all right. Oh shit! And just went. Landed right on my tailbone. Yeah, my mom wasn't too happy about that. I was in 8th grade. I was about to get sponsored and all that stuff. I had a pair of Solomons, and I was like, that put an end to that.
Dude, I was so terrible at that shit. It
was fun. It was such an adrenaline rush.
It was fun as fuck. Cause I liked it because we were a bunch of Mexican kids playing street hockey, which was like, when have you ever heard about that? But it's like, that was the time. Like, I don't see kids playing street hockey anymore.
Dude, funny story.
Not in California anyway.
That was a thing. In the mid 90s, it was a thing. Like, I lived on a cul-de-sac, and all the neighborhood kids were into football, after school, and street hockey.
Yeah.
And this was right before the Northridge quake, and we were playing a street hockey tournament. And my neighbor Ted, who's actually one of my dear friends now, he's like 2 years younger than I am, and we're about to get the puck, and he takes a stick and he backs into the corner, and it hits me right in the eye here. This whole part gets split open, and I'm just like, pools of blood going down my face, right? I'm like, fuck you, Ted. I'm going to fucking kill you when I get the chance. God damn it. And I was just like swearing, and he was like crying. He was 11. I was 13. And he lives in San Diego, and like he's a big presence out there. He does a lot of the bars. He's in the big bar scene out there, and he's like people know him.
Yeah.
It's crazy. We had a conversation last year because it was recently his birthday. He's all, dude, that day still traumatizes the fuck out of me. And he was laughing because I was at the Cigna Healthcare building the night before the Northridge quake.
Oh shit, yeah.
And that whole building collapsed to the ground that morning.
That's insane.
And they were like, "Do you need to stay the night?" If
you would have said yes, there would be no interview today.
It was just a really weird, like, oh man, that's crazy shit.
Yeah. That's insane.
But yeah, no, I'm glad we grew up in those times where you can get dirty and just get home 8:00 at night, have dinner. I don't even know if kids are allowed to go out now.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
My girlfriend and I, we were having this conversation yesterday, actually. We were talking about how, like, it was like, remember when we were kids, like, once it hit kind of 6 p.m. in the neighborhood, there was this silence. Like, there would be kids playing and all that stuff, but there was a silence to everything that I just haven't heard since I was a kid. For some reason, everything's so busy. There's a new silence. There's a cold silence now because everyone's on their phones. But it's like there was this beautiful, like, fall or summer night silence that hit, where you could walk out in your street and all you heard, like, it wasn't even so much cars. It was just trees. It was wind. It was, she lives up in Sun Valley.
Okay. Yeah.
Right there off of Latuna Canyon, right? So it's like that big winding road. So I go up there and, like,
some cool hikes out there, man.
Yeah. Hell yeah. It's just right by the trails too. So it's like I go out there and I'm like chilling in the backyard and I'm just listening to crickets and shit. And like, I don't even hear cars, and I'm just like,
isn't that nice?
God, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Martin and I, we live in a fucking shitty apartment in Corona, and it's one of those rat traps, dude, where it's like, I can't even sleep in that fucking place.
It's a sardine can.
Yeah,
basically,
dude.
Just like you hear foot traffic up above you, below, to your side.
And I'm next to the freeway, so I'm inhaling all the brake dust, and it's like,
dude,
the people upstairs are hammering at nothing, and I want to fucking hurt them. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on, and I'm just like, just die, please die. But it's like, I go over to Sun Valley in that backyard, and I'm just like, fuck, this is nice. I don't hear shit. And it gives me that kind of nostalgic feeling of that, like, I don't know what it was. Just, it's an indescribable silence. It's just beautiful.
It's the lack of noise pollution, and modern, because Sun Valley back in the day used to be extremely rural.
Yeah.
Orange groves, and all that stuff. It was just all the valley was basically like that in the 40s.
Yeah.
I grew up in Chatsworth. I was born in Tarzana Medical, and at least in the 80s when I was a kid growing up in the valley, you're still, I mean, there were bridle paths there for people on horses, you know, like there were still ranches and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden you get on the other side of the 118, where Porter Ranch is now.
Yeah.
And there was nothing out there. Nothing. Now I think the valley is like twice the size it was back then. But, you know, that's why I love where I live now, is because there's still a lot of people. It's a college town, but where I lived, because so after High School Nation, and I had a falling out, and I basically told everybody to fly kites. Nice. I got to leave this fucking place and just go. I need to do something new. I need to rebuild my life. And that did not come without risks, you know?
Yeah.
So pretty much for the most of 2018, I just got a house with my coworker, Robert, who's one of my dearest friends. And I lived up in this mountain area in Atascadero, which is this old Airstream, which we converted into a music studio. So I work out of there now. I do a lot of projects out of there and stuff like that. But same what you just described. You hear the cicadas at night. You hear like the rustle of Morro Bay and the marine layer coming in. You could see the fog.
Nice.
Oh, dude. I mean, talk about some. I mean, I was living in my van. You know, I would drive up the mountain. I work 10 hours a day, Monday through Thursday, and then if we don't have a show from the Bay Area to LA or wherever in between, like we do shows every once in a while, right? Or if I'm doing a session, I go up to the mountain, brush my teeth, absorb all that shit, and just go to sleep.
Nice.
And then I'm just inundated with that like noise of just something that I really hadn't. I didn't know I needed it. You know what I mean? Like you have to return to, even though it's like 20 minutes from like a bustling college town, right?
Yeah.
It's far away enough so you can actually get back to like nature and the creative process, because that helps me get better at my job and helps the artists bring more of their intention into the project. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because it calms the mind, man. Because all the fucking hustle and bustle of everything, dude. It's like
it's hard to create. It's hard to create in that unless you're a maniac, which you know I definitely can be in that mode a lot of times. But I think if I'm working with a band, I want them to feel that. I want them to. Let's take a break and enjoy a campfire for like an hour. Enjoy this, and then we'll get back into your vocal take.
Yeah.
You know,
that's cool.
Whatever music that you want to kind of work on at fucking 4 a.m. You know, let's just enjoy it out here. That's why you're here for the weekend. Let's fucking work on. Let's get your mind away from LA. Let's get your mind away from fucking San Francisco and just focus on that. Ray in the Airstream has my Presonus Studio Live and my whole array, my Line 6 modules and all that stuff, my speakers, I have an Allen Heath board there for monitoring. I have all that stuff. You know, they use it whenever they want.
Nice.
You know, it's like we just work with each other. It's like, oh, you need help with this? Oh yeah, I'll help you. And then they'll help me with the project, and I'll help them with them, and I'll record their band. And
that's how it should be.
You work with each other on these projects, and then like you build something. You know, like really good stuff has happened from that. You know, I think if people just focus on not being an asshole,
yeah,
and developing patience and caring spirit. You know, like
because that's the thing, dude. It's like everyone who's doing this stuff, it's like you have to look at it. It's like these are creative endeavors. These are creative endeavors where it's like you're not just recording a band. All right, you're recording someone's heart and soul. Dude.
I will never work with a band just for money.
Full blown, and I think that's fucking amazing because you have to work with someone who's into what they fucking do, who truly believes in it, and that you believe has potential, you know, or you believe in. And it's like when you do all that stuff, it's like there are so many people out there that don't treat it. It's not enough respect. It's about whatever. It's a paycheck, or it's whatever helps their credit or their name or whatever the fuck. And it's like with all this stuff, it's like this is. First of all, we have one of the most, if not the most expensive passion in the world. You know,
mean,
It's
that's why I lived in my fucking van for most of 2018,
dude.
because the Apollo 8 and the quad were more important than an apartment.
There you go. So it's like people are willing to be broke for this shit. People are willing to fucking just sacrifice comfort for all this stuff. I see how things are going, and it's like, and I'm the angry guy. You know, I'm the fucking like, fuck that. I don't like the way this is fucking going. Fuck this shit. Fuck that person. Fuck this clique.
You're the guy in Half Baked.
Straight up.
Fuck you. You're cool.
You're cool. Fuck you. Straight up, dude. Like, I see all that stuff, and I'm just like, dude, like, this is really fucking important. This is really important. The fact that you had that much, that you had that much fucking dedication to say, I'm going to live in my van because I need this gear, because I need to do this, because I love what I fucking do. Like,
yeah, there's a half of that is because I have a slight gear addiction.
fetish.
Yeah, definitely a gear fetish, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you have to though. But that's kind of part of it. Like, you can't love something half-heartedly.
No, that's true. Because you definitely have to let it go if you don't.
Yeah.
But I mean, the whole reason end of 2017, I mean, the 2016 and 2017 were awful. Personally, professionally, I still had some shows, and I still had my friends, that was the most important thing that like kept me from going over the edge, was this circle of people that I surround myself with. I've been working on myself for the past year and a half, like nonstop, to try to be more present with people that are important to me and be a better friend and better son, especially with my parents, because 2014 was a rough year for my family. Both my parents had cancer, and so it was just a lot to take in. You know what I mean? It's a lot to take in. I'm an only child too, so it's like throwing
it's a lot of responsibility,
thing after another. But to say that, oh man, I did the best I could, it's like, no, I did not. I was not the best son in the world, and I definitely learned a lot up until that point. But now it's like, family is really important to me. My friends are really important to me, and all that stuff comes later. But I think if you care enough and you love the people around you and you love what you do, I think, the skills will come, the network will come, because like you are at least trying to be the best self you can be,
Yeah.
There's that whole adage where it's like, oh, find that one thing and just be really fucking good at it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I want to find like 2 or 3 things
that I can, switch off with.
Like, I want to do events. I still want to do events with, community-based events. Like, I'm doing every year I do a homeless shelter fundraiser in Ventura County. And it's called Shirts and Cans. So it's just like live music, but people bring in like canned goods as part of the entry, and all that stuff. And then the first stop I go to is the women's shelter of Oxnard. And so we just do a show. I mean, I've been doing it since 2013. Every year, do a show, drop off all the goods, because there's a bunch of homeless shelters in Oxnard and Ventura that they don't have any resources.
Yeah.
So
that's fucking
if you
awesome.
can do something, do it.
Totally, dude. That's something that we're trying to push. I mean, the last couple shows we've been throwing, all the proceeds go to the Young Center for Immigrant Children's Rights. So it's like that's one
awesome.
of the things that we're really trying to push. It's like, dude, and that's why I'm super into community-based shows, because it's
Always.
like art is important, and the people see, like, I mean, as creative people, we're constantly looking for that fucking validation, kind of, to some degree, whether it's with ourselves, our peers, our families, people who don't really understand. And it's like, dude, part of the reason why people don't take art seriously is because of what's out there isn't art. Like, the stuff that's easily accessible isn't always art, And these artists out here, it's like, this is how you make it matter. This is where your art really counts, because it's you throwing the best parts of you into this music, into this film, into this painting, into this photography, whatever it is, and then getting together with people who have the same passion that you do to help other people in need. And that's like the most important thing in the world to me.
There's such a disconnect. The same thing, like if you put on a local show, right? You're at venue X and it's like $5 and people are asking you, hey, how much does it cost? Oh, $5? Man, I don't know. But you'll go fucking to this place and spend $50 on getting shit-faced with your friends, right?
Yeah.
There's a total disconnect of that, people just, they don't see why you do what you do and what drives you until you have to go until a situation like that happens where you people don't. My parents have still not been to a show of mine. You know what I mean? They know what I do, but I think they still don't have that connection. They just think I'm doing it for fun, or I go because it's fun, it's a party, and this and this and that. But I'm like, no, man, this shit makes me happy.
Yeah, and this shit is hard work.
And I don't get anything from it. I don't get money. I get joy, and that's way more than anything I could ask for.
Thanks for being here, Graham.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is a very, very not a surprise treat, but just it's nice to speak shit out.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, man, anytime you want to do it, even off the air, you have my number now.
Yeah, man, you guys, oh, God, I'm coming up, I think the show's, it's going to be the weekend before Christmas hits, but it's going to be at the tavern.
Okay.
It's just going to be, clothing and canned goods, drive. We got to, at the shelters, they don't take perishable food, so it's got to be canned goods, clothing. Women and children's clothes are kind of preferred. The men's shelters have a lot of what they already need for the most part, but that's going to be I'm working on the weekend before Christmas, the week of Christmas, but that's going to be a couple artists from all over the 805 are going to be, we're all going to kind of join forces and shit like that, and the tavern's always been good about letting me host shows there and kind of let me do my thing.
Sweet, man.
You guys more than you guys should come up and be a lot of fun. We're probably gonna get a hotel because it's gonna be a long day for me.
Word.
And definitely gonna want to have a couple beers. So the Clock Tower Inn's right next door. I'm just gonna.
Hell yeah. Well, let us know when you got it booked, dude. We'll promote the shit out of it.
Awesome. And what's next for you guys? What do you guys have lined up?
Right now, we're figuring out live sessions.
Oh shit.
So we're gonna start doing that. We got space. Shout out to Electric Loft in Pomona.
Oh, is that like what? I heard you guys doing something with a DBA. 256.
We've been throwing some shows at DBA. We threw a couple. We have some more lined up for.
Isn't that
next
a house?
year.
It's a house, right?
No.
It looks like a house.
No, that's the
outside?
dope spot.
Oh.
Yeah, DBA is right there on Main. It's like right around the corner from the Glass House.
Oh man, I love that, man. Downtown Pomona. Yeah, that place has always been downtown Pomona's rad.
Oh yeah,
downtown Pomona's
we're into
rad.
it. We're trying to take over.
Do it if you want it. Fucking grow it and
we'll take it.
Take that shit over, dude.
Well, we're gonna wrap this up, but if you're, let's kick it.
I can just talk with myself.
No. We're gonna keep talking off recording because my ears are sweating. But thank you. Yeah, we're good.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, man.